Harry Maguire turned out to be one of the biggest failures in transfers when he joined Manchester United. But that dreadful spell is coming to an end. In this video, we'll look at some of the most costly mistakes in football history, particularly focusing on the expensive transfers that didn't lead to success. Money plays a huge role in football, but spending a lot of it doesn't always mean you'll do well. Nowadays, clubs are more willing than ever to spend a lot of money in their quest for winning trophies. However, there have been many instances where top players couldn't live up to their expensive transfer fees. It's not always just their fault though. Sometimes it's about joining the wrong club with the wrong coach at the wrong time. No matter the reasons, a number of the biggest transfers ever made have turned out to be very costly mistakes. In this video, we will take a look at 9 football transfers that flopped, from Ibrahimovic to Lukaku. Let's get it on. Neymar, Barcelona to Paris Saint-Germain. Sometimes, Neymar has played really well for Paris Saint-Germain, impressing everyone with his fancy tricks and moves. But overall, his time at the Parc des Princes hasn't been a success. He moved away from being in Lionel Messi's shadow and became a superstar in his own way, helping the French club win their first Champions League title. But then Kylian Mbappe became even more popular, and Messi joined the team too. This made Neymar less important for PSG. In 2022, the team tried to sell Neymar, and they are thinking about letting him go again. Neymar also wants to leave, but he's not ready to go to Saudi Arabia right now, so it's hard for PSG to find a buyer from Europe for a player who doesn't follow the rules well and gets injured often. Plus, he's now over 30 years old. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Inter to Barcelona. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, a big name in soccer, considers himself a true legend of the sport. However, his move to Barcelona stands out as one of the worst deals ever. Just to remind you, Barcelona didn't just pay a lot of money, 69.5 million euros, or about £59 million /$75 million. For Ibrahimovic, they also gave away Samuel Eto'o, who was a hero for them in the 2009 Champions League. Ironically, Eto'o helped his new team, Inter, win 3 big trophies, including the Champions League, where they beat Barcelona in the semi-finals. During that time, Ibrahimovic and the Barcelona coach, Pep Guardiola, had a really bad relationship. Ibrahimovic even accused Guardiola of not being brave and being scared in front of another coach, Jose Mourinho. Ibrahimovic's agent, Mino Raiola, also criticised Guardiola and called him a coward, even before the 2012 Champions League final. It's important to note that Ibrahimovic did score 21 goals in different games, but what we're looking at here is perhaps one of the biggest clashes of personalities ever seen in soccer history. Kepa Arrizabalaga, Athletic Club to Chelsea. The goalkeeper who cost the most money in the world doesn't come close to being the best. Even though the team paid £72 million for him, he's not as good as others. He did manage to get his starting position back from Eduard Mendy, who recently moved to Saudi Arabia, but there's no sure thing that he'll be able to keep his spot as the #1 goalkeeper, with the new player Robert Sanchez in the competition. It's also known that Chelsea would have sold Kepa if they got a good offer, but there hasn't been much interest in him, which isn't really surprising. Kepa isn't really a top-level goalkeeper. People will probably always remember him for the Carabao Cup. First, for not wanting to be substituted in the final in 2019, and second, for not making a single save and then sending the last penalty kick way over the goal in the shootout during the 2022 final against Liverpool. Romelu Lukaku, Everton to Man United. The only person to be on our list 2 times is Romelu Lukaku. He first didn't do well at Manchester United, which was surprising because he had always shown he could play well in the Premier League while at West Brom and Everton. Lukaku started off strong at Old Trafford, scoring 10 goals in his first 9 games, even breaking a record set by the great Bobby Charlton. However, he started having problems in his second season. He went without scoring in 12 games. Then he scored under the management of Jose Mourinho. But when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer took over, Lukaku didn't get as much time on the field. Lukaku thinks he was treated badly by Solskjaer, and some United fans, like Gary Neville, thinks he wasn't in good shape and wasn't skilled enough to be the main attacker for the team. One thing everyone can agree on is that the team paid £75 million, $94 million for him, and that turned out to be a really bad decision. But do you know what's a good decision? To comment, like and subscribe to this video, because it helps us a lot to keep producing more content. Alvaro Morata, Real Madrid to Chelsea. Many experts think Alvaro Morata's agent is really good at his job. Otherwise, it's hard to understand why a striker who has a tough time scoring goals keeps getting chances to play for top clubs in Europe and getting paid a lot for it. Morata did score 15 goals in the Primera Division in 2016-17, which made Chelsea decide to buy him from Real Madrid for £60 million or $75 million. But that's the most goals he's scored in a top-level league. In fact, during his 18 months at Stamford Bridge, he only scored 16 goals in the Premier League, which wasn't good. He left Chelsea in January 2019 and went on loan to Atletico Madrid, and they might have bought him permanently later. Morata felt that the media were too quick to criticise him when he was in England. But when you look at the number of goals he scored, it's hard to see it as anything but disappointing, especially considering how much money was spent on him. Philippe Coutinho, Liverpool to Barcelona. One of the most important transfers for Liverpool, but one of the worst for Barcelona. Barcelona agreed to pay €120 million, £100 million /$130 million, and could pay €40 million, £34 million /$43 million, more in bonuses for a player they really didn't need. People couldn't quite figure out if he was an attacker, a midfielder, or something in between. Bartomeu, the person in charge, didn't seem to know either, but he still signed the Brazilian player. The biggest thing he did during his 4 years at Barcelona was score 2 goals against them while playing for Bayern Munich in 2020. After trying for years to get rid of Coutinho, they finally let him go to Aston Villa for only €20 million, £17 million /$21.5 million in 2022. This was because they were in a tough financial situation and needed to fix things at Camp Nou, the stadium, after almost going bankrupt under Bartomeu's leadership. Romelu Lukaku, Inter to Chelsea. Lukaku mentioned that his comeback to Chelsea was because he felt he had unfinished work there. He hadn't scored at all during his previous time at Stamford Bridge, but even though he ended up as the top scorer for the club in the 2021-22 season, his second time there wasn't as good as the first one. He managed to score only 15 goals from 44 games, which wasn't good considering the team paid a lot, £97.5 million or $119 million to get him. Lukaku can't really blame anyone else for this situation. He did an interview with Sky Sport Italia during the season without permission. In that interview, he talked a lot about how much he loved his old team, Inter, and even criticised the tactics of the coach, Thomas Tuchel. Because of this, he lost the trust of his coach and the fans of Chelsea. That's why he went back to Inter on loan. But then, Lukaku made Inter fans angry again by secretly talking to Juventus about joining them. Now, it seems like nobody wants him, not even Juventus fans. Lukaku also said no to offers from clubs in the Saudi Pro League, but he might not have a choice and might end up having to move to the Middle East. Harry Maguire, Leicester City to Man United. Harry Maguire has the potential to be a good defender in the Premier League. He showed that when he played for Leicester, and now he'll have the chance to prove it again at West Ham. It's worth mentioning that even Pep Guardiola, a famous coach, wanted to sign him in 2019. Maguire says he chose to join Manchester United, but the real reason is that Manchester City thought the price was too high. They didn't think Maguire was worth the world record amount for a defender, and it turned out they were right. During his 4 years at Manchester United, Maguire received a lot of harsh treatment from their fans, even beyond what's acceptable. Maguire himself admitted this, but it's clear that his time at the club was a big disappointment. The decision to make him the captain of the team looked very silly due to his poor performances and mistakes that turned into internet jokes. Just a reminder, Manchester United paid £80 million, $100 million for Maguire. Now, West Ham is paying them less than half of that amount to get him. Maguire might not be terrible, like Rafael van der Vaart once said, but he definitely counts as a huge waste of money. Eden Hazard, Chelsea to Real Madrid. Eden Hazard's transfer to Real Madrid was a plan that took 10 years to happen, but it started badly when he showed up to pre-season training overweight. It's not just that, he also had a lot of bad luck with injuries, which wasn't the case when he was at Chelsea. Even when he did get a chance to play consistently in Spain, he didn't look nearly as good as he did when he was playing in the Premier League for 7 years. Hazard did win some important trophies, like the Champions League, but in the 2021-22 season, he wasn't really a big part of Real Madrid's success, much like Gareth Bale. When he left the team, he hadn't played even 1 minute in a Clasico match, which shows just how much he struggled at the club. This makes him the worst signing in the history of Real Madrid. Is there something missing in this list? Let us know in the comments below. And as we said before, don't forget to like and subscribe.